but I don't know. It depends if they've got anything planned for the 24/7 title, or if indeed they have anything planned at all. Well, because they've not done anything really in the way of advertising for Survivor Series.
No, like I said, the matches, the teams were announced on TV, not on TV. They were announced on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and since then they have done things with the teams, but they're not doing too much.
When have you ever known this to happen, though? Like, in what world? In what world is that? Right. So Ricochet, for example, okay, calls out WWE on Twitter. Literally, that announcement goes out from WWE's official Twitter page to say, stay tuned. We're going to be announcing the 5 individuals that will be on Team Raw and Team SmackDown, both male and females. And we're going to do that live on Twitter. Stay tuned. It's like, okay, what? Ricochet, literally, a few hours later, or however long it was, but puts out the tweet, what happened to qualifying matches?
Well, they've done that with Rumble, haven't they?
Well, they did it for Rumble, and that didn't really mean much, did it? Because there were some people that didn't qualify and ended up in it anyway. But, I mean, it's look, he's in hot water, I'd imagine, for that. Because he's been a bit cheeky with certain things anyway. There's been these sort of occasions where people have noticed him liking, they call them like the anti-WWE tweets. But like when somebody's essentially calling out the logic in WWE, there's been a few occasions where he's been liking that tweet.
People have done that before. There's nothing to it.
But is there nothing to it, do you think?
Well, seeing as the people that did that in the past still work for them.
Out of choice, though.
Well, when they're big stars.
Do you want to see Ricochet re-signing when his contract's up?
I don't know, because he's dating the NXT.
What's he done?
He had a good match with Drew not too long ago. But
never mind the matches, man. We know Ricochet's good in the ring.
Yeah, but
what's he done as a character on main roster WWE?
Not a lot.
Nothing. It's not. It's not his fault. He was great in NXT, just like everyone else was. But nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely
but we
nothing.
can say that about some people in the major companies in the past.
You can say that about some people in any wrestling company. You can say that about people in AEW. We were talking about Brian Cage earlier. There are some people that really need to be featured more, and we don't see them.
Going back to Full Gear, it was nice seeing Team Taz, because fuck, have they done things on TV for a while?
To be honest, I've completely forgot about them Team Taz bits, but yeah.
Well, yeah, especially when you were in the fucking crowd.
So the Ricochet situation, I thought it was funny. He calls them out. He's right to do so, I think, because it's ridiculous. Like, at the end of the day, if Ricochet decides to stay there or not, he's going to have a following that will follow him wherever he goes to afterwards.
Definitely.
Whether he goes to New Japan, and I think he'd be great back in New Japan. Whatever he does, fantastic. But in terms of the actual thing that he's called out itself, it's so ridiculous that for your... essentially still, technically, it's one of your big 4.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? Like, it's supposed to be, at least, anyway. So you're telling me for one of your big 4 pay-per-views, in the marquee matches, that the whole pay-per-view is even based around, and you will announce those matches exclusively on Twitter, for the pure reason that you were too lazy, or just not prepared enough that you planned anything for it in advance, for what I can only imagine is just because Crown Jewel took precedence over Survivor Series. So all the emphasis was on book for Crown Jewel.
Kind of.
But this is the problem when you just start booking for short-term stuff. Because you're booking and it's like, right, well, we've got this coming up, that coming up, X coming up. Never mind all that because I've read the script and I don't like it. There we go. We're going to do a new one right now. You're never going to forward plan anything. So I suppose I'm not surprised that they've done it like that. But that's the way that they genuinely want to run shit now, is that we didn't plan anything, so we'll just put it on Twitter and that's going to be what it is.
Do you know what it reminds me of a little bit, in a weird way? Remember when they did the NXT team for Survivor Series not too long, about a couple of years ago now? For
the Invasion one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they announced a team, both the men's and women's teams, on the pre-show. They didn't have a team announced until the pre-show.
Yeah, I remember now. Okay. That wasn't overly... I suppose that's like one of them annoying things, but NXT was still looked at as like not really a third brand, though.
No.
As much as some people were saying that it wasn't. And it was still developmental.
And that was a really good Survivor Series, from what I remember.
But again, I think the point of that was to try and get NXT's guys established a bit more, to get them ready for when they were going on national TV.
Yeah, it was just before the
Dynamite debut.
War.
Yeah, the war. I mean, the skirmish.
But the thing
is,
it worked for a little bit, but didn't go anywhere for too long.
No, but regardless though of and the way that you book anything, surely the idea is that you want it to actually go somewhere. So whatever happens after Survivor Series should be the culmination of certain things, but the beginning of something new. Like, we're ending with this, but we're now beginning this. We start this journey. There's nothing like Survivor Series now, and again, it comes down to the whole, because of the brand split, like, it's hard, man. It's hard to, like, try and get invested in something like that, because we've just had the draft.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are, like, now on the opposite show to what they've been on for over a year, some of them, and
I think
all of a sudden now I'm going to bleed Team Blue, bleed Team Red.
I think all Team Raw was on SmackDown until the draft,
which is ridiculous. Oh, I say ridiculous. Like, again, look, I'm sure they're going to have good matches. It's good talent, but the story of it really is kind of weird. It really is weird, and announcing it on social media is like the biggest slap in the face, and such a backhanded way of saying we don't really care about this, but we will take the money. It's on pay-per-view. Come watch it live.
Yeah, it could be their December to Dismember.
Oh my God, I wouldn't be surprised. Look, you just wouldn't do this for any other show. The Survivor Series match at Survivor Series, and they did it for all of them. Imagine if they did that for Hell in a Cell. Okay, we've got Hell in a Cell coming up, and if you stay tuned on Twitter, we're going to announce the Hell in a Cell matches.
I think they did like 2, or maybe one of the last few years. They didn't have that many matches announced until that week. I
mean, that's one thing, isn't it? But then the actual manner in which you announce it is another.
But the thing with Survivor Series in the last few years is it's just the champion on one show versus champion on the other, so you don't really need to build it like that. But
yeah, well,
you do need to have the.
But then why not just do that as a special? Survivor Series, like one of my favourite Survivor Series of all time was 2003.
Love that one.
And it wasn't SmackDown versus Raw. There was stories, because Raw had a story developing on Raw that was interesting. The whole Austin and Bischoff thing. What a great match!
Oh, one of my favourites.
I think my favourite Survivor Series match of all time. Honestly,
I'd put it there.
I think it's my favourite. And the SmackDown one, although not one of my favourites, it's good. I love it. It was great, and it established, some up and coming talent that was in there. It played into a few separate stories going on. Obviously, Bob Holly and Lesnar, Cena's thing that he had going in there. I just don't understand why we can't still do it like this. But because the SmackDown versus Raw thing, because no one cares though.
No
one cares about it anymore. It's just we've taken this gimmick that did used to work at a different point in time when things were done differently, and now it's just like, well, what's at stake really?
Nothing.
Nothing's at stake. Like, what do you get if you win? Nothing. What do I get if I'm watching it? Nothing.
I know. When it's the champion versus champion, they can say, "Oh, I'm the better champion," but
then that hurts the other champion.
Yeah, but you can't.
You should put yourself into a hole there. I think, like Big E, because neither of them should lose, in my opinion. Roman is not ready to take a loss yet, unless
a proper loss,
unless he's dropping the title to whoever he loses to, and Big E is still quite a new champion.
But the one thing they've done on SmackDown is they've had the New Day get beaten up by the Bloodline, and so that would make sense.
Yeah, you've had that, and obviously the Kevin Owens heel turn I saw has happened as well.
Yeah, but he kind of needs before he goes.
Before he goes, yeah. It's weird. I don't like it, but honestly, Ricochet, he talks about being a superhero, and that was probably one of the most heroic things he's done in a long time. Is just call out WWE for their logic or lack of. So,
yeah, but we didn't need Ricochet to do that.
We didn't need Ricochet to do it, but the fact is he did.
So, Ricochet, you're my hero, son.
Almost a superhero, but not Nikki.
Yeah, not Nikki. Not Nikki Shea.
One ball. I did it.